What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am making my beautiful wife her 20th anniversary present, so stick with us. So as always guys, we really appreciate you guys liking the channel. Hit that little subscribe button, the bell icon. We're knocking out a ton of content and we got some great stuff coming up that you're not going to want to miss. So for our 20th anniversary, my wife really wanted a big chest that she can put all the dog's clothes in. But it's going to be kind of like an heirloom type deal. So we went on to Instructables.com and we found plans for this. And this is from DIY Montreal. She's got a YouTube channel and I'll put a link in the description below. Man, she made it super easy. If I can follow these plans, you guys can follow these plans. Came out beautiful, really nice, and we added our own little flair by carving the top of it. So for this project, my wife really wanted cedar, but the problem is, finding the right cedar planks for a decent price is really difficult. So we decided to go with blue pine tongue and groove boards from Home Depot. And man, it came out great. We actually left the tongue and groove in and we glued it all together and it worked out great. The seams were really nice and this thing is really solid. So first thing we did is cut all of our pieces. I'll put a link in the description below for the actual plans of this box, and it's got a full cut list and it's really in depth. Makes it super easy to follow. Because we use the tongue and groove, I cut the groove off the bottom of all of the walls and then the tongue off the top. That way it just gives a nice solid look. You want to make sure to dry fit everything before you add any glue or nails, just to make sure it's right. Now in putting the walls together, you want a scrap piece that's the same thickness as the boards you're using. You line your walls up on that, and then you put your top piece over and match it up with the edge, and it'll give you the exact right measurements. To make it a little easier for the rest of the walls, Dad had the idea of just doing the temporary hold down with the Starbond. That way the board stays nice and straight. You can see I have it leveled with a square right here, and you can just put your boards up to it and you don't have to worry about it moving around on you. Now it's time to put the frame together. We just used 2x2s and then we used a speed square with the pieces clamped down to make sure that it's as square as it can be while you're screwing it together. Once the frame is all put together, it's a lot easier to put the pilot holes in it before you put the walls on. That way you don't have to worry about drilling it and keeping the pieces all together and them not moving on you. Now once all your pieces are together, you want to make sure to dry fit it just to be 100% sure that they're going to go together the way you want. And then once you make sure of that, then you just put the walls on one at a time. We use the little nail gun to give a temporary hold down as we screw the permanent hold down in from the frame side. Once all the walls were on, I used these little 90-degree brackets on each one of the corners just to give it a little extra stability. Then we cut all the pieces for the floor and laid them in. Now you can see there's a little bit of space on the edges. They didn't fit exact, so we just put some trim around it and you can't even tell. Now it's time to make the lid. Now we're going to carve this thing, so we're pretty much treating it like a sign. We glued it all together, clamped it down, and the seams on this was actually really nice because we used the back end of the tongue and groove. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to add our own touch to this thing. Like I said, I got these plans off of Instructables and DIY Montreal. They're perfect plans. But we're going to add our own flair to it. So I'm going to carve the lid and carve a message for my wife. So let's get into it. These are all good sized letters, so we use the 60 degree for everything at about 3/16 of an inch. There are some smaller lines, but all you got to do is adjust with your hands instead of actually resetting the depth. Then we used blue tape to put a little border around all the carving. We didn't want any other black on this thing, so we wanted to make sure to keep it where it needs to be. And we used our primer. Then we sanded it off with a 60 grit disc on the disc sander, and then went back with a 120 grit disc on the random orbital. Before we laid this out, we put a couple coats of clear on it to make sure that the black doesn't bleed through. Then I used the random orbital and 120 to get all of the sharp edges off, not only the lid, but the entire box itself. I had to add another little piece on the back where the hinges are going to go to make sure that there was enough room to screw the hinges in. Then I tried using a chisel to cut out the shape of the hinge so it sets in. That did not work well. So Dad had the idea, just use an 1/8 inch spiral upcut bit and carve it out. And that actually worked out great. Alright guys, so I tried to surprise my bride with this thing, but the surprise did not work out. But babe, you've been bugging me for months about building you a chest. So now that you have it, what are you going to do with it?
Well, I wanted a chest because this guy right here, he has all kinds of duds, and he has bow ties, and he has jackets, and he has sweaters, and he has all kinds of things that I needed a box for. And so now that this is bigger than had hoped for, Now I can put Ryan in it when he makes me mad.
I thought you said, we're gonna say when I die. I'm like, dang.
You've always said you wanted a pine box.
That's right, nice and cheap. All right, guys, Gus is getting restless, and so is Amy. I'm glad you like it. So we hope that you guys enjoyed this. And as always, guys, if you have any questions or comments, leave a comment, shoot me an email, ryan@makeawoodsign.com, and we'll see you on the next one.
Say bye. Pop.